What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and I bet you've all been wondering, what in the hell was taking me so long to upload the full spoiler review for Halloween Ends? Well, as you can tell, I've been kind of busy lately. Seriously though, I had to sit on this movie for an entire week because I don't think that I've ever had such a love and hate relationship with the movie in all of my life. And I'm a big movie buff. I've watched way too many movies to remember. And I never remember having a movie that I loved and hated so much at the same exact time. I don't even know where to begin. This review will probably be all over the place because in many ways I think this movie was kind of all over the place, or at least, let's say this trilogy has been all over the place. But let's just go ahead and start with the beginning. Now, warning, there will be spoilers, but this isn't a scene-by-scene breakdown review. I'm just here to give you my general thoughts, and I will pick out certain parts of the movie that I want to talk about. But let's start with the opening of the movie. We have Corey, the babysitter, and he's babysitting this kid, and I think that's one of the best intros in a Halloween movie that maybe we've ever had. One of the best. And for one of the first times in this trilogy, we had suspense building. When that opening scene started, I just automatically felt like, oh, we're in for a real treat with this one. Because they were building the suspense before the kill. And that has been basically non-existent in the last two Halloween movies. I mean, the reason I liked Michael Myers so much, the reason the movie stuck out to me so much, it wasn't because of the crazy kills. It was because of the build up to those kills. The suspense building. You know, knowing that, oh, this character, something bad is going to happen to you. And, you know, you hear the music and it's just like you would have this epic build up to these kills. Whereas in this trilogy, it seems like they have a lot of flashy, awesome kills, don't get me wrong. But they forgot about the suspense and the build up to those kills. So this opening scene had a lot of suspense. And that's something we need from a Halloween movie. So when I saw that, automatically I was like, okay, they're doing something different here. Hopefully they continue doing something like they did with this opening scene. However, they didn't. All suspense ended right there within that opening segment. And I feel like that opening of the movie, it was so much better than the rest of the movie. And just to be clear here, I can't give you a rating for this film. I can only tell you that I liked some of it and I hated a lot of it. And if this movie wasn't the finale, then I would be way easier on it. And it's hard for me to sit here and pick this movie apart, which I could, don't get me wrong. But when you're comparing it to the other Halloween movies in the Halloween franchise, not just the trilogy, but the Halloween franchise overall, in many ways, this movie has a better story than most of those movies. In many ways, this movie is written better than most of the Halloween movies in the Halloween franchise. Now, I know people like to do ratings. People like to go back and watch like Halloween 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and they like to review them. Personally, I can't do that because I grew up with those movies, so I will always have this personal bias. I love all of the Halloween movies, regardless of how corny and stupid they may have been at some points. I loved it. I grew up with it. So I am forever connected to it. So I can't go back and watch Halloween 5 and just trash it because I always loved that movie growing up. But when it comes to this new trilogy, these are movies that are coming out in theaters during my lifetime that I can critique. And I liked Halloween 2018 a lot. I think Halloween 2018 set up something beautiful. Unfortunately, I believe they dropped the ball with Halloween Kills and they dropped the ball with Halloween Ends. In fact, I think the two should be switched around. Halloween Ends should have been the middle movie. Halloween Kills should have been the finale. And I will make another video on that. Do you all want to see me make a video as to why I believe these two movies should switch places? Let me know down in the comments below, because I have a lot of ideas that I would like to go over about that. But 2018 for me, it set up this not a new take on Michael Myers, but it almost felt like a more grounded version as opposed to all of the other sequels. And then Halloween Kills comes around, and it's just a totally different tone. Halloween Kills did not seem like it took place in the same universe as Halloween 2018. A totally different tone. It went really far out there, which is okay for some, but I didn't like it. But now, in retrospect, I like Halloween Kills a lot more than I used to. And then we have Halloween Ends, and I'm telling you, these three movies, none of them seem like they're connected together. They do not mesh together well. Okay, like, if you told me these three movies were all from a different universe, I would believe you. I would literally believe you, because they don't have the same tone. They don't have the same feel. They're all totally different from one another. And I can understand the movies and the stories being totally different, but they should have some interconnectivity. Whereas I don't see or feel any interconnectivity in these movies. Even the characters don't necessarily seem the same throughout. But as far as the characters go, while we're talking about the characters, I think Jamie Lee Curtis had a great performance in this movie, although she's a side character. I think Allison, Andy Matichak, I think that she did her best performance out of this entire trilogy in this movie, for sure. I think she gave her best performance in this movie. And the character of Corey, before I go any further, I need to talk about him. I really like this character. But it's a shame that it goes nowhere, which was one of my biggest problems with this movie. You want to sideline Michael Myers so you could center the movie around this Corey character, right? And then you kill him off in the last 15 minutes and just shoehorn Michael Myers back into the movie. So I was talking about how the three movies in this trilogy, they don't mesh together well. Well, Halloween Ends, in many ways, it seems like 2 or 3 different movies mashed together that don't mesh together well. If you were going to do the Corey character, the Corey story, even though this is not what people want Michael Myers. If you're going to do Corey, double down on Corey. Don't kill him off in the last few minutes, because it makes everything we watched up until that point pointless. So the whole Corey character, the whole Corey storyline, even though I was enjoying it and I was invested in it, once he stabbed himself in the neck, it was all over. And at that point, the realization really sets in like, wait, I watched this entire movie for no apparent reason, because you went nowhere with this character. You allowed him to take the spotlight away from Michael Myers. You did this whole movie about Corey, and then within the last few minutes, it turns out Corey is a total non-factor. It doesn't even matter. And then you shoehorn in this fight between Laurie and Michael. And the fight between Laurie and Michael, that's what they marketed this movie on. For the last 2 or 3 years, we've been told that this is going to be the final showdown between Laurie and Michael Myers. Yet it seemed almost as if the showdown between Laurie and Michael Myers was an afterthought in this movie. Like I almost believe that the writers wrote this movie, and then right at the end they're like, oh shit, wait, we were supposed to have Laurie and Michael fight. And then they just throw him in at the end. So the ending of this movie does not pay off for me, because it doesn't even mesh with the rest of the movie. But as far as Corey goes, the actor did an amazing job. I'm telling you right now, the Corey that we see in the opening scene when he's babysitting that kid, and the Corey we see by the end of the movie, it's like 2 different characters. Not just that, it almost makes me feel like I'm watching 2 different actors. So I give credit where credit is due. And the actor who played Corey, I cannot remember his name right now, he absolutely knocked it out of the park. It's not his fault that they killed his character off in the end. But every moment that he was on screen, I think he did an amazing job. The transition, like I said, from the innocent kid who accidentally killed the kid he was babysitting to the cold-blooded murderer that he became in the end, it was beautiful. In an evil way, but it was like, I believed it. I was invested in it. Now, there were some things that I didn't like the fact that Corey was literally getting bullied by like high school marching band kids. Since when have marching band kids been bullies? Yet these marching band kids were bullying the hell out of Corey. And Corey's like a grown man. He's like 25, 30, I don't even know. Maybe he's 40 years old. Who knows? I'm assuming he's 25, 28, something around there. And he's getting bullied by 15-year-olds. You know, getting smacked around by 15-year-old people in the band. Girls are bullying him. Weird punks that don't even look like bullies are bullying him. And then we're supposed to believe 10 minutes later within the movie that he's overpowering Michael Myers and he's out here killing people. So I feel like they could have played into the bullying aspect of Corey, for sure. Like, we definitely needed to see that. But could y'all not have picked anyone better than a freaking high school marching band to be bullying a freaking grown man on the streets? So that was really weird to me. It didn't seem right. So for me, like, even though Corey and his transition into evil, into darkness, I totally bought it from his performance and just the looks in his eyes and the look on his face. I bought it from that aspect. But at the same time, it's always in the back of your mind, like, I can't really be too intimidated by this guy. This guy isn't as physically imposing. He isn't really as scary because we've watched him get bullied by 15-year-olds. You know, 15-year-old dweebs from the marching band. So I think that was a really interesting choice, who they picked to bully him. But the kill scene at the towards the end of the movie, when he finally takes out all of those bullies at the junkyard, I thought that was a cool scene. But at the same time, like I said, no suspense. Where was the suspenseful buildup? He kills all the bullies like that, and almost all in the same way. Like, he knocks that one girl over, and she's stuck under the fence. And then for some reason, even though you just watched your friend get run over, you run over to her and you kneel down to talk to her as if this Corey guy isn't walking around the car, and then he kills you. And then Corey's stepdad comes and does the same thing. He kneels down and looks at the girl under the fence. And then he gets up and gets shot. And then the other person comes after watching two other people get killed doing the same exact thing. And then he bows down and talks to the girl under the cage. And then he gets killed. So I've seen a lot of people praising that junkyard scene. I think it was stupid. Probably the worst part of the movie. Not just that, but when the main bully shot and killed his stepdad on accident, I didn't like that scene. And I get that this trilogy, it keeps trying to play on how regular people can become murderers and can become evil because of the effects that Michael Myers had on this town. But I think it would have meant more for the character of Corey to see him murder his stepfather. Because in many ways, the stepdad and Allison were like the only two people who actually gave him a chance. Corey's own mother. You know, there was that weird scene where she like kissed him on the lips and all that stuff. And I get the sense that Corey's mother is one of like the weird mothers, like kind of like, I don't know if you've seen the It reboot. One of those mothers that kind of makes their child feel like there's something wrong with them or they're sick, gives them placebos, a little over-loving, maybe even sometimes kind of sexual in a way. So he killed his mom. And they didn't even show that scene. And I felt like they should have shown that. Because everyone wanted to see that happen. He kills his mom, who was always nagging him and stuff like that. So I didn't feel the effect of that kill. Not only did we not see it, but it was off screen, but I didn't really feel that. it didn't seem like it would take much for Corey to kill her because she was just always this non-likable character. But with the stepdad, if we saw Corey kill the stepdad, I think that would have really highlighted and showcased just how far into the darkness Corey has gone. But instead, we see Corey kill these teenagers all in the same exact way, and that was really repetitive and boring for me and stupid. Everyone, let's go look at this girl under the fence and try to help her, as someone walks up right behind us and whacks us in the back of the head like 3 times in a row. So I didn't like that at all. In fact, when I really go and think about it, I don't really like most of the kills in this movie. When Corey finally goes on his Halloween night rampage, like I've been saying, there's no suspense at all. There's no build-up. He just goes around and boringly kills people. And some of the cool kills, like, I didn't care about the DJ kill that much. I know a lot of people have been talking about that, how he smashes his head into the record player, snips out his tongue. I didn't care about that kill. The best kill in the movie is probably when he's burning the bully's face off. I forgot with what tool, the name of the tool is, but that's kind of off screen as well. So the kills definitely are very lackluster in this movie, at least if you ask me. They seem kind of boring, and because there's no build up to the kills, they do nothing for me. It's almost like, okay, whatever, it happened. So that really was a disappointment. But unlike other people, when I go to Michael Myers movies or Halloween movies, I'm not there for the kills. And I know that's weird. I'm there for the build up to the kills. Like if Michael Myers just wants to boringly stab people every time he kills them, that's fine with me. I'm there for the suspense and build up. So when it finally came down to it and we finally started getting some action in Halloween Ends, it was just like, just like a montage of kills. Like it just ran right through it with no build up, no suspense, nothing. So none of those kills did anything for me at all. And it's weird seeing the drastic difference between the amount of brutality and kills that was in Halloween Kills and how dumbed down this movie was. But like I was saying, none of these movies mesh together. I would say that Halloween Ends feels more like Halloween 2018 than Halloween Kills. Like, I could kind of believe that Halloween 2018 and Halloween Ends are in the same universe. I could kind of connect those two, but Halloween Kills is just really far out there. Now, we talked about Laurie Strode for a moment. My legit, and I mean by far, my favorite part of this movie, my favorite thing about this movie was Laurie. Okay? And more specifically, my favorite part, or my favorite thing about this movie was how Laurie spotted the change within Corey. Because at the beginning, Laurie's helping Corey. Laurie feels bad for Corey. She feels for Corey. But when Corey starts to transition into evil, Allison can't see it. Other people maybe can't see it. Laurie spots it really quickly. When she's looking out her window and she sees Corey standing there by the bushes like Michael Myers, I really liked that scene. But my favorite scene was when she goes outside, Corey kind of scares her. He says he's looking for Allison. And Laurie's just sitting there the whole time holding her chest, just looking at Corey like. And Corey starts talking to Allison, and they walk off to go do their own thing, and Laurie's just still sitting there like. So I really dug that. I really dug how Laurie, very quickly, from the moment it happened, spotted like, oh my God. She sensed the evil. She saw the evil. And she registered it. She didn't brush it off. She knew in that exact moment when she saw him that this isn't the same innocent boy or the same innocent young man that I helped the other day that was getting bullied. This is a totally different person. This is evil. So I really dug that. And I also really dug the scene where Corey's sleeping in the middle of the house. wakes up. Laurie's kind of got her seat back, and she's talking to Corey. The real question is, was Laurie ever there when that happened? What do you all think? Let me know down in the comments below. Was Laurie there, or was that his imagination? Was that him going crazy? Was that a hallucination? In my mind, I like to believe that Laurie was there. And in many ways, Laurie is just like Michael. Laurie is like Corey. She's looked into evil's eyes. Now, of course, she didn't become the monster that Corey was, but Laurie did become her own monster, shutting off her family in a way, and becoming this person that obsessed with Michael for all of these years. So in many ways, she allowed herself to fall into darkness as well, just in a different way. So when he finally looks around and sees that Laurie is no longer there, and like the windows open and you can see the curtains kind of blowing in the wind, that was awesome to me. And I don't want any clarification as to, I want to hear people's opinions, but I don't want a filmmaker's clarification as to whether she was there or not. I think that's a conversation and a debate that us Halloween fans can have for years and years on end. And the more times we watch the movie, the more things we will notice, and we will change our thoughts and perceptions of what actually happened. But as of right now, in my mind, Laurie was there. It wasn't a hallucination. But Laurie's just able to disappear just like Michael. You know what I mean? So I really dug that. And it felt pretty badass that she pops up and she's, you know, she's man-spreading, she's rocking back and forth, like, leave her the fuck alone, okay? You need to go get help. And I was like, man, all right. I was really digging that Laurie. Because Laurie in this movie, it's a big transition. Like, her character has grown. She has let all of that stuff go, and she's trying to be as normal as possible. You know, so I really dug that they didn't make Laurie the same as 2018 or even Halloween Kills, that they allowed her to grow as a person. They allowed her to not necessarily let Michael Myers and the Michael Myers situation go, but they allowed her to grow enough as a character to where she could be likable and lovable again and not have to be this hardcore, you know, person who's just trained to kill Michael Myers all of her life. So I like how she had a relationship with her granddaughter, and it was still somewhat of a rocky relationship just because of what was going on with Corey. But I liked how she let go of a lot of that trauma and tried to live in the moment, you know, and tried to be more of a normal person as opposed to this like Michael Myers doomsday prepper. So you got to see a huge transition within Laurie, you know, of her becoming a person who's learning to live life and kind of let things go. So all in all, I think what they did with Laurie was cool, but for the finale of Halloween, for the finale of Michael Myers versus Laurie, I do feel like we should have seen more of a showdown between Michael Myers and Laurie. And it's weird because Michael Myers is just a side character in this movie. He's an afterthought, almost like a cameo in this movie. And I didn't really dig him working alongside Corey. Like when they were like partners in crime, Batman and Robin, everyone's joking about Michael Myers riding on the back of like the moped dirt bike with Corey. I didn't like that aspect of like them going around together and killing people together. Michael Myers is not a teammate. Michael Myers is not a team player. So I didn't dig that. I felt like they could have did something differently. And I felt like they could have doubled down more on Corey wearing the Michael Myers mask and doing more kills, honestly. But, of course, that's not what we got. So as far as what we got from Michael Myers, I wasn't too pleased with Michael Myers in this movie. I was pleased with his mask. I've seen some complaints. I hear ya. As far as I'm concerned, this trilogy had some amazing masks. Can we at least say that? Because when I go back and watch H2O, when I go back and watch Halloween 5, even though those movies hold a piece of my heart and I love those movies for what they are, I can't help but now that I'm older see the masks. See the CGI Michael Myers head in H2O. And I hate that. But in this trilogy, Halloween 2018, awesome mask. Halloween Kills, awesome mask. Halloween Ends, awesome mask. I like seeing how the mask is just degrading and becoming more damaged over time. And you could see all the marks and scrapes and cuts from the different things that has happened to him. And I don't know, but this mask, I really dug it. How it was just decomposing. You know, it's burnt and it's almost just ready to like crisp away. And I don't know, I really like the mask. I know some people have been complaining about it, but I think it was spot on. It was believable. I don't want to see Michael Myers out here in a clean mask after he's been living in a sewer for a year and a half, okay? So seeing it degrade, seeing it have like freaking asbestos and like dust particles on it and stuff, I thought that was really cool. Now, in my first thoughts video, when I initially got out of the theater from seeing this, I said something along the lines of not really liking the soundtrack, not really liking the score and the music in this movie. Boy, was I wrong. That's one thing I was really wrong about. I've watched this movie 3 times now, hoping to get something else out of it, hoping to really hammer down what my opinion is about this movie. But every time I watch it, I always still feel this love-hate relationship. One thing I will say though, after watching it 2 more times, the score, the music in this movie is phenomenal. It might be one of the best scores that we've gotten in a Halloween movie. And it's weird because I totally blocked it out on my first viewing because I was so ready to see Michael Myers in action. I was so ready to see something different than what I saw that I closed my mind to some of what was going on, not necessarily in the movie, but with the music. And for me, it's like seeing Michael Myers on screen is what triggers some of this music for me. So there was music playing and the score was playing in the background while Corey was on screen and other things were happening. And the music and the score didn't stick out to me because I wasn't visually seeing what I'm usually seeing when I hear this music start building up. But after watching it a couple more times, I want to go out there and buy the album. I think the music in this movie was awesome. So that's one thing that I really got wrong. But I still have, no matter how many times I watch this movie, I think I'm always going to have this love-hate relationship because I so want this movie to exist. There's a petition right now to scrap this movie and to reshoot Halloween Ends and make a whole new movie. That's never going to happen. But I so want this movie to exist. I'm glad this movie was made. I think this is a nice entry into the Halloween franchise. But it's misplaced. You don't do this in the finale. You don't go and make these bold, interesting decisions and throw in a whole new character in the finale. The finale should have been Michael Myers, Laurie Strode facing off. And what I mean by that, I don't mean 2 hours straight of them fighting each other. I mean a traditional Halloween movie with Michael Myers, with the main build-up being towards the big battle at the end between Laurie and Michael. Maybe you could have even done like a superhero movie. Superhero movies kind of have the same formula. There's always 2 or 3 fights in a movie. You have that initial fight between the superhero and the villain, and then either the superhero gets away or the villain gets away. That's what should have happened. That's what should have happened in this movie. There should have been an initial clash between Laurie and Michael. They get away, and then the finale, after Michael kills more people, then you have the showdown. Whoever survives, that's up to you. But this should not have been the finale. This movie is severely misplaced. And the fact that they did this, I want filmmakers to take chances. I want them to make bold decisions. But in a world where it seems like all the movies coming out right now, like they're doing stuff purposely just to piss you off. Say what you want about it. There's no telling me that The Last Jedi, when they ruined Luke Skywalker, and I will rant about this for the rest of my life, that was almost just to piss you off. When I watch the new Marvel movies, it's like y'all are purposely just trying to piss us off. You're not even making good content anymore. You're just doing stuff just for the sake of doing it. And this movie kind of, I couldn't tell, like, are you legit trying to piss Halloween fans off? Because we as moviegoers are pissed off enough as it is. Movies are all woke garbage nowadays. The only thing I have left after Star Wars was ruined, Marvel is currently being ruined, Lord of the Rings was just ruined on Amazon. The only thing I have left is freaking horror movies. And I felt like this was almost something that you can view as a slap in the face of Halloween fans. Like, oh, you want Michael Myers, don't you? Oh, you want to see that big showdown, don't you? You're going to get what we give you, and you're going to be happy. You know what I mean? Because nowhere in these filmmakers' mind did they not know that this was going to be disappointing to people. And then when they marketed this movie and they cut those trailers knowing this is going to disappoint people, you sold a different movie than what you showed on big screens. And you went far out there and did some things that you should have never done in the finale. If you wanted to make these decisions, if you wanted to introduce Corey, if you wanted to do all of the things you did in Halloween Ends, it should have been done within 2018 or Halloween Kills. You had 2 movies. If this was just a one-off and this was just this director's one chance to get across their vision, maybe that would be one thing. But you had 2 movies that you could have done these weird, interesting choices. You could have made these interesting, weird choices. You could have done something different. You don't wait until the finale to do something different. So I understand why people are pissed. I understand why people are upset. Because it is like a huge slap in the face to Halloween fans. It really is. But at the same time, when I really sit back and look at it, I have to be honest with myself and say that this movie, in many ways, was written better and put together better than a lot of the Halloween movies that we've seen so far. And I'm not saying this movie is a masterpiece. It's far from it. I could pick this movie apart. There are a lot of things in this movie that don't make sense. There's some editing in this movie that I thought was interesting and weird. Like I said, the whole main story of this movie being about Corey, only for Corey just to kill himself in the end, and that storyline goes absolutely nowhere, just to revert back to Laurie Strode fighting Michael Myers in the kitchen. That was really stupid. So they took some chances, they did some interesting things, but unfortunately, they didn't double down on it because they knew what they were doing was kind of wrong. So they didn't double down with Corey's character. And they didn't double down with his storyline. And in the long run, after making these interesting decisions and you know, doing this weird thing with this Halloween finale, in the long run, they scraped everything they did throughout the whole movie, threw it in the garbage can, and was like, here's Michael and Laurie. Like, part of me almost didn't even want to see Michael versus Laurie anymore in this movie. Continue on with Corey. Let's see what Corey has to do. Because we've watched this movie for the entirety of the film now. I don't need to see Michael Myers get thrown in a meat grinder in the last 10 minutes. I don't need to see him easily get killed on the kitchen table. You know, just forget Michael. You forgot Michael throughout the whole movie. Forget him for the last 10 minutes too. That's how I felt. I really felt like they should have just doubled down on the Corey storyline and just did what they did. Because shoehorning in Michael versus Laurie wasn't a good look to me. It threw off the entire film that they already made, and it felt forced. It was like, they have to have this, and they threw it out there. You know what I mean? And, you know, as much as I like the Corey character, and I bought into that transition of him becoming evil, I did not buy into the relationship with Allison. Like, it happened like that. and they didn't allow the romance to build up. And, the plot of, if I can't have Allison, no one can. I didn't buy that. I bought everything else about the Corey character, except the, if I can't have Allison, no one can. Because they didn't spend much time building up that relationship or making it seem like he was that obsessed with Allison. Like, there was nothing in this movie that showed us that he was becoming so obsessed and focused on Allison, to the point where he's like, if I can't have her, no one can. I'll kill myself. Like, that, I didn't buy that because they didn't show that. So while they did a great job showing Corey's transition into madness, they did not show Corey's transition into obsessing over Allison to the point that he'll stab himself in the neck just so Laurie Strode can't be close with her granddaughter. Like, that's some psychotic, crazy stuff. And it sounds cool until you realize and you watch the movie, wait, they didn't build up their relationship at all. They talked for like 5 minutes on screen, rode on a motorcycle, and danced for like 2 seconds at a bar. And then you want me to believe that he's freaking hyper obsessed with this woman, and they're so close together that Andy Matichak, or Allison, after everything she's been through with Laurie, that she'll just write Laurie off in a heartbeat for Corey. A guy that she met 48 hours ago, who gets beat up by 15-year-old band members. It's funny because sitting down to film this review, I was happy. And remember, I was saying I had this love-hate relationship with Halloween Ends. Sitting down to make this review, I was happy and I was more loving towards Halloween Ends. But as I talk about it, and as I put my thoughts into words, I start hating it, and it's starting to piss me off. You could probably tell that I am getting frustrated while talking about this movie because this movie is so effing frustrating. And if this movie was just placed in the middle, it would have been beautiful. If this movie was placed in the middle between 2018 and Halloween Kills, it would have worked out so much better. If they would have just allowed Corey to live. If Corey survived Halloween Ends, then at the very least, I would feel more complete. I would feel like, hey, everything I just watched wasn't for nothing. Because that's what Halloween Ends feels like. It goes in this interesting direction. And it's not a direction that you want to go. I didn't want to go this direction, but she took me this direction. So I'm going along for the ride. And it's like, just when you're enjoying the ride and you're like, okay, this isn't what I wanted, but this is what I got. And I'm accepting it. And I'm starting to enjoy it. You're going along for the ride. And then right at the end, they're like, oh, sorry. Never mind. That's what this felt like. It literally felt like that. If Corey just survived, it would have meant so much more. But because Corey died, it amplifies the frustration of not having Michael throughout the movie 10 times more. Because then the realization sets in, at least for me, as Laurie is stabbing Michael on the table, the realization sets in to me that I just watched an hour and 45 minutes of a storyline that means absolutely nothing now. It all happened for nothing. It was totally pointless, other than the only point of it existing was to piss off Halloween fans, to divert your expectations, and to create something different and new, which is okay. I like different and new. But I don't want different and new in the finale. Do that at some other point. So the whole storyline, it just feels so pointless in the long run. And I can't get over that feeling like we were gypped of Michael Myers for no reason. You took Michael Myers and you just trashed him in this movie. You made him a non-factor. You made him a weak, feeble, old man for nothing. Because in the long run, none of it mattered at all. Not in the least bit at all. Now, I know a lot of people have been pissed that Michael Myers was weaker. And that Michael Myers was feeble and he's old. But he's old. So I kind of understood that Michael isn't as powerful as he used to be. But after making him this insane super soldier in Halloween Kills, it's hard for me to buy that he's so weakened now. In Halloween Kills, which was my main complaint about Halloween Kills, they turned Halloween Kills and they turned Michael Myers into Steven Seagal, into freaking Bruce Willis, into Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, you name it. He was out there killing firefighters, doing freaking kung fu and stuff, literally. At the end of Halloween Kills, he destroys the whole entire town. He's getting shot point blank range, beaten in the head with baseball bats, stabbed up all over the place, and he kills everyone and walks off. And then in this movie, he's a feeble old man. So, Michael Myers is not consistent within this trilogy. Do y'all want to make him this supernatural force, or do you want him to just be a man? Because at the end of Halloween Ends, Laurie, I don't know the direct quote, but Laurie said something along the lines of, at the end of the day, you're just a man. Michael Myers is just a man. Well, just a man does not go through everything Michael Myers went through in Halloween Kills and survive. Okay? That's insane. He's getting his brains blown out. People are shooting and stabbing him left and right. And then he just gets up, kills everyone, and walks off as if nothing ever happened. Yet in Halloween Ends, Corey, a guy who gets bullied by 15-year-old saxophone players, is able to manhandle Michael Myers. So it's really inconsistent. And if you asked me, summarize this Halloween trilogy in one word, the word would be inconsistent. Michael is totally inconsistent throughout these three movies. You never get to feel like, do you want him to be this supernatural force of evil, or do you want him to just be a man? A man doesn't grab someone in a sewer and look them in their eyes and turn them evil. A man doesn't survive everything that Michael survived in Halloween Kills. And don't get me wrong, there's been all types of stuff that Michael Myers has survived throughout the films, but nothing quite like what happened in Halloween Kills. So, it's just inconsistent. The storyline throughout these three movies, inconsistent. The characters, Laurie is inconsistent. Michael, inconsistent. The overall vibe and the feel of these three movies, inconsistent. So, inconsistency is the downfall of this franchise, if you would call it a downfall. Because at the end of the day, I'm still happy that this movie exists. But I do think that there are a lot of problems, and I feel like they delayed these movies because of the lockdowns and the beer bugs. And I think that made them second guess themselves. And they started changing things around about the storyline. And I think that was actually detrimental to this trilogy. If they just went with their original vision, it probably would have been better than how this ended up, because it just seems like different movies and visions all meshed up together in one. But all in all, I can't rate this movie. I can't give you my ranking in the Halloween franchise. I can't rate this movie yet. I can't even 100% tell you how I honestly feel about this movie, because honestly, I both love and hate this movie so freaking much. But at the very least, I'll say this. I am happy it exists. Like, I don't want to live in a universe where this movie isn't made. I'm glad this movie is here. I just wish it was placed somewhere else. But, this is not one of those movies that you just watch and forget about. Like, some movies are so bad that I watch them, and afterwards, I just pretend that I never watched it. I don't remember it. I don't talk about it with friends. I don't talk about it with loved ones. I don't review it on YouTube. I don't talk about it on social media, You know, just one of those movies that you just watch and you're like, okay, well, that happened. And then you go about your day. Halloween Ends is a movie that you have to talk about. Like when I saw 2018, I liked 2018. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I'm going to want to talk about the movie, but I could have went the rest of my life without any 2018 discourse. I didn't need it. But with Halloween Ends, it's like as soon as you're out the theater, you want to go to YouTube, search up reviews for Halloween Ends. Then you want to go to Twitter, search hashtag Halloween Ends, because you want to be part of the conversation. At the very least, if this movie accomplished nothing else, it accomplished, it's, I don't know how to put it, but it's a conversation piece. 20 years from now, Halloween fans, Michael Myers fans, will gather around and debate about this movie. This is a movie that you're going to want to talk about. This is not a movie that you could watch and just never think about again. You're going to think about it after you leave the theater. You're going to want to talk about it after you leave the theater. So at the very least, it's a conversation stirrer, a conversation starter. And there's going to be debates about this movie for years and decades to come. This movie, I do believe, will gain a cult following. It's a movie that you're not going to necessarily appreciate as much as you could the first time you see it because you're expecting and wanting all these different things. But 10, 15 years from now, when a new fan of the franchise arises and they watch this movie, I do think they will be able to enjoy it. Just how I was able to enjoy Halloween 3 growing up. Because I watched it and it just was what it was. I was never anticipating a certain thing to happen. Like when people watch Halloween 1 and 2, they were hoping for Michael Myers and then he didn't show up in Halloween 3. A lot of people were disappointed. But you know, I grew up with watching it on sci-fi and stuff, so I could appreciate it for what it was. And I think this movie will have the same effect. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if I hate it, if I love it, if I just want to yell about it, or if I want to gush about some of the things that I thought they did right in this movie. But at the very least, I just know I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about it more. So let me know down in the comments below. Would you like to see me make more videos about Halloween Ends? I really want to talk about the character of Corey and little things that I think they could have done different with the character Corey to make him an even better character. So if you want to see that video, let me know down in the comments below. I also want to make a video explaining why I think Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends should switch places. So if you want to see that video, let me know down in the comments below. But for now, let me know how you feel about this movie. What did you like? What did you hate? Was there anything that you liked? Was there anything that you hated? Let me know all of your feelings down in the comments below. Feel free to just let it rip. Let it loose. Express your opinion about this movie. I can't wait to read it. But while you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. And oh, if you haven't already, I actually went to some of the filming locations for Halloween Ends months and months ago while they were still filming the movie. So you can go back and check out those videos as well. But for now, I'll talk to you all in the next video.